I bet you're treating your HP like a bimbo or a himbo and you don't even know it. It's a number that you only like when it's big and pretty, and the moment that it gets low and shrinking down, your first thought is, I've got to fix that. I can't let anybody see me out in public with this low number of HP. That needs to stop. I mean, yes, mechanically, you're going to want to like heal yourself, but like, let's talk about it. Bonjour, Morpheus Bipeds. Disclaimer, everything I'm about to talk about, you need to talk about with your table, as a DM, talking to your players, as a player, bringing up to your DM and the other players. Everybody should be on the same page here because it's going to really help tell a better story. It is honestly, like, do it. What is HP? In Dungeons & Dragons and most games, HP stands for health points. This is normally a red bar or a number on a character sheet. Whenever you take damage from an attack, from a spell, from falling down, the number you take subtracts that number and shrinks it down until you hit 0. And when you hit 0, your character falls unconscious. But what does that look like? What does damage look like? What does losing HP look like? Honestly, can you give me an answer right now? Like a really good answer, one that does not contradict other answers that you might try to give me? Have you thought about this? I bet not. And if you have, good for you. But for everyone else, let's get into it. Problem number 1. Taking damage is not a 1-to-1 ratio from person to person. A commoner in D&D has 4 hit points. A level 1 wizard in D&D might actually start off with like 8 hit points. That's double a commoner. But the stereotype of a wizard is somebody not really taking care of their body or their muscular necessary, who is really focused on their brain and their mental capacity and learning magic, versus a farmer who's out there in the fields every day, constantly raking, pushing, moving things. If you've ever talked to or arm wrestled a farmer, hell, just seen one out in public, you know they're not weak. 4 HP does not necessarily mean weak. So why is it that the wizard can take more hits? It's because they can't, or maybe they can, but that's going to depend on your game style. And so again, you need to figure this out with your party. A commoner has 4 HP. A level 1 wizard has 8 HP if you have a +2 con. And a level 20 barbarian is going to have 200 HP. All of them take 4 points of damage. To kill a normal human, this does not mean just like pricking them. This means like stabbing their heart, slicing somewhere that's really not good to be sliced. Like, people, we can be really fragile, but typically we're actually pretty resilient. So you do that same damage to a level 1 wizard and they don't die. What? Not only do they not die, they don't fall unconscious or pass out from the pain. And then you do the same thing to a level 20 barbarian, again, with this mortal wound or a stab to the heart or a traumatic head injury, and they don't even feel it. Like 4 damage to a barbarian who's got 200. That is literally 2% of their HP. And there is a difference between being bloodied and being one-shot. Again, back to the level 1 commoner, level 1 wizard. A level 1 commoner takes 2 damage. They are now bloodied. Bloodied is a term meaning half HP. And then there's being one-shot. The commoner just taking 4 HP all at once from full to 0. I feel like this is the difference of a knife slash versus a sword slash, or a really deep knife slash versus a really shallow knife slash. But for a wizard, it's going to take 4 damage to bloody them. The same damage it takes to outright kill a commoner will only bloody a wizard. It should look the same on both characters. A wizard who is bloodied should look in the same condition as a commoner who is bloodied, even though the commoner has literally half the amount of HP that the wizard would at that moment. But they should both look haggard. They should both look half dead. We're going to figure out what HP looks like at your table in your games, and it's going to look different for everybody. But here's how you can make a fun, easy way to figure it out. In order to find out what HP looks like in your game, it's actually pretty easy. You just need to figure out one thing. What is the art style of your game? Is your game an anime? Is your game Lord of the Rings? Or does your game look like The Witcher? Somewhere kind of in the middle. What does this mean? I mean, like, you can probably visualize it, and that's the thing, visualize it. When you describe what is going on, when somebody is making artwork of your characters, when everybody is thinking about the world, what images come to mind? And it's possible everybody has a different image coming to mind because all of our brains think differently, and we all have different pop culture influences on our lives and in our thinking and in our character creation. So this is part of that important. Talk to your table about it, find out what the art style is so you can all be on the same page. If your art style is anime, this means that your character's HP is going to look like the amount of blood they have, and the more HP you have, the more blood you can lose in a fight before going down. The level 20 barbarian is going to look like Goku, who can just take punch after punch after punch after stab after hit after blast after whatever, planet destroying damage, and he can keep getting back up and keep fighting. If, however, your game looks more like Lord of the Rings, we're looking at a more realistic style. Your HP is going to be represented more of how much endurance your character has or how much luck they have left before they die. A character in a full fight in a game that looks like Lord of the Rings is not going to get hit 5 times and take 5 slashes to their body, because in the game, mechanically, they might still have like 10, 20 hit points left, but within the fiction, they absolutely would have died by then. So instead, when you get hit and you take 20 points of damage, and that leaves you with like 10 left, that is a big blow coming against you that you are fighting for your life to deflect, because you know it's going to mess you up. And honestly, it still might like hurt your character's arm within the fiction, but that wasn't a hit that you took directly, because again, that hit would have killed you. And then when a character dies, going to Boromir, who we're going to talk about a little bit more later in depth, I believe that he hit 0 HP when that first arrow hit him. That is what that looked like. It took one hit really hitting him after he's been fighting off all these orcs. You could see every orc that he clashed with, you could see as like a hit against him, and he was like slowly losing HP bit by bit by bit, and then finally that last arrow is what sent him to 0. And within the fiction, that was just the one hit that he was not able to deflect. Or does the game look like The Witcher? The Witcher, I feel like, is kind of a more middle ground between these two things. You see times where Geralt, our main character, is able to take slashes and hits directly, but other times, like, it's constantly deflecting and fending off hits, because a really nasty hit will actually take him down, because he is, I mean, he's a Witcher, but he's still mortal. So think about the art style of your game and find out where on this slider your art style and game exists, whether it's more anime, more Lord of the Rings, or somewhere in between. Now, what does hitting 0 HP look like for each art style? In anime, hitting 0 HP is when the character's eyes go white, that final hit, and they drop to the ground. In Lord of the Rings, it is them taking that hit and having that dying moment where they're able to say a few things, or maybe continue fighting on for a little bit. They're not making attack rolls. They're not doing actual damage to anybody who's still on the battlefield. There are goblins running at them that were unnamed and aren't real stat blocks, so that they're not affecting the balance of the encounter. But for the cinematic, them hitting 0 HP, it's something they can do where they go down swinging, taking down a couple more goblins before they get taken down themselves. It should be cinematic. Your HP, at the beginning, I talked about how you might be abusing your HP and treating it like eye candy, where you only like it when it's full. This is one of those moments where, like, you need to think about your HP when it's at half and when it's at low, and not just think about it as, oh, I need to get that number back up. You need to think about, what does this look like for my character so far? Have they actually taken a cut, and are they now bleeding? Have they taken a bunch of hits because it's anime and they're now covered in bruises and cuts? Or are they just really haggard and harrowed and look like they are fighting for their lives at this moment because they're low on HP, but they haven't actually taken a real hit? Mechanically, they're almost dead. You're at like a quarter HP, but within the fiction, you haven't actually taken a single cut or a single bruise. You're just dead tired and ready to drop. Another reason why I want to talk about this is because taking cuts and bruises and broken bones and real damage to your body would impose actual problems to your character, walking, fighting, getting back up from falling down. But all of those negatives, all those consequences are not actually tied to your HP. They're tied to other statuses. They are tied to special monster hits or to exhaustion. So if you want HP to look more realistic when a character gets bloodied, maybe hit them with a level of exhaustion. You didn't hear that from me. It actually might be a bad idea. Every table's their own though. Bloodied and hitting 0 should both have a bit of a cinematic moment, especially for villains. The bloodied and the 0 HP should be when the villain does something new. When they bring up new piece of information, when they do something cool. Halfway, or even 0, is where they've run out of patience. As a DM, you need to realize that the bad guy's HP hitting bloodied, hitting halfway, is them probably starting to run out of patience, or maybe realizing that they're back up against the wall, that they might die, and they need to do something new. They need to have a backup plan. There should be something in their stat block, like the highest level spell slot, that maybe they were saving, like maybe their highest level spell slot that they were saving, and they're like, yeah, now it's time to use it. And 0 HP does not mean that that final hit takes them down. 0 HP should mean that that is when they're out of the fight. And this can look 100 different ways. The reason why I bring this up is because of the amount of horror stories I've read, or just disappointing stories that people have told, where the one person in the party is looking to kill the bad guy, and that bad guy has killed the person's friends or family or whatever, and they're looking to get their revenge. But then the rogue is the one who delivers the final blow and takes down the bad guy. How did that look on here? I don't know. And the bad guy hits 0 HP because the sneak attack, critical hit, whatever, just dropped them down unexpectedly. What was the rogue supposed to do? Skip their turn and let it come back around to the fighter so that they could get their final blow? No, that's not optimal. That's not fun. They should absolutely be participating in the fight. This is why it is important when the villain hits 0 HP. That is instead them just being taken out of the fight, not falling unconscious, not dying. That might happen eventually, but first give them a monologue, give them a little bit of something that happens when they hit 0. The rogue hits them and knocks them down to 0. Should be removing the necromancer's spell focus, pinning the villain to the wall, and then you move to the cinematic moments where you let the fighter know like he is out of the combat. You can tell this is the moment, take him down. What do? And you hand it over to the players and you let them describe it and talk about it. And yeah, maybe the rogue does end up delivering the final blow because they're in a good position to do so, but put it out there for your players because this is a collaborative storytelling game. You're here to tell the story. That is when you get the best moments. Otherwise, you're setting it up where players are gonna be like, I don't want to hit the villain and take them down because then this person doesn't get their moment. No, that discourages storytelling, that discourages gameplay. You should be encouraging both of those things. Let 0 HP be the end of the fight, not necessarily instant unconsciousness or instant death. Going back to Boromir, a player character. Again, from earlier, I said that when that first arrow hit him, that's what puts him at 0 HP. And then he has his moment of going down in the fight. Mechanically, what would have happened is throughout the runs of combat, while he went off on his own to save Merry and Pippin, he's been fighting these guys, he's taking damage, and finally it's the Urukai's one arrow, one hit that takes him down to 0. And instead of just dropping down, the DM describes you continue fighting off orcs, you take more down. He's not actually taking out stat blocks, he's not ruining the balance encounter. But within this cinematic moment, within the fiction, this is a warrior going down, and he is not going to go down without swinging. And then the Urukai takes his turn and is ready to shoot him one more time. And I think maybe he does, and that's an instant failed death saving throw from Boromir, or 2 failed death saving throws. And that's when Aragorn is able to use his turn on his initiative to run up and start fighting the Urukai and stop him from delivering the final kill on Boromir and failing his last death save. However, unfortunately, we get around to combat, we get to the end, and it turns out Boromir has failed his last death saving throw. But instead of him just dying and being out in the middle of combat, we wait until combat wraps up. And then we allow Boromir to give his final words, to apologize for what he's done, and to have that heroic death. 0 HP does not mean they're out of the fight. The other way to look at 0 HP is, I love this example I saw where somebody talked about Darth Vader in the Star Wars game where he plays Cal Kestis. When you fight Darth Vader, you can't kill him. It's in the fiction that he survives to episode 6, and this has taken place way before that. So that is not Darth Vader's life bar. That is his patience bar. And when it hits 0, you're not winning that fight. He's just out of patience, and he's just going to take you down. Think about that with villains. If you introduce your BBEG early and your players drop him to 0, you as a DM should not have set it up where that's their actual HP they have written down. You should have it set up where that is their patience bar. That is them being like Bill Cipher and yelling, enough! This is because, and the reason why I'm talking about this is also because of controversies within the D&D community regarding rules about HP. I have seen 4 ways that HP is run. 1 is static HP. This is you're going by the number you have written down, by the number in the monster manual, using just the stat blocks and not changing anything. This is typically how I run my encounters. It keeps things more straightforward. It helps your players to know what to expect when they're playing the game. You know, within the fiction, I'm going to change some things. I'm going to use a stat block and I'm going to buff up the HP beforehand. But then it's going to stay static and it's going to stay that HP. I'm not going to change it during combat. Number 2, the other way I've seen it is preemptively adjusting an enemy's HP in the middle of combat. Your fighter goes first, uses action surge, gets a crit. Suddenly your big bad is down to a quarter their HP after 1 turn, not even 1 round, just 1 turn. And you go, ooh, maybe this needs to change. Like the fighter, let's just move it so the fighter's minimum hit of an 18. That's the end. That's his new AC. Let's see if that keeps him alive. And let's drop his HP instead of being 100. Let's probably get up to 300. Yeah, so really he's got 225 HP left. Yeah. I've done this once, not that drastically. The only time I feel like this is acceptable is when you've established within the fiction how strong something is or is supposed to be, and then you realize you've screwed up the combat balance. You have the wrong number written down in front of you, you pull up the wrong stat block, or you just thought about it totally differently and totally underestimated the numbers within the game, because it's super easy to do. And you're like, I need to drop this number because this fight is going to actually be impossible, when it is supposed to be like, I told them that they could win this fight basically within the fiction. Or, oh my gosh, this is supposed to be a hard fight and they killed it super easy. I need to bring this number up to match the fiction. That's when it is appropriate, is when you're changing the number to match the fiction. But typically you need to avoid this. You should stick to static numbers because, in my opinion, that's a game. That's how your players are going to know what to expect. That's how they're going to know how to play the game. That's how the decisions within combat and within character creation are going to actually matter. Number 3, adjusting HP on the fly. This means that when a bad guy is hit to 0, this is different from preemptively changing HP. Preemptively changing HP is you see something happen, you go, I need to fix this. Changing HP on the fly is like from monster to monster, like, you know what, I think this guy's gonna have 4 more HP because they shouldn't go down in one hit. Or, oh man, this dude's he only has 1 HP left, let me just say the player kills him. That actually brings him down to 0. It's very, I think it hurts the trust that players can have in a DM, because they won't, I mean, it's true, they might never know. They might never know that you are adjusting the HP on the fly, but the numbers are there. And chances are you're going to screw up and they're going to be like, why did this goblin have more HP than this goblin? And you'd be like, oh, well, you know, he's a little bit more beefy, but you didn't describe that. You didn't set that up. They're going to start trusting you less on what it is that you're describing, what it is that you're telling them. The mechanics need to match the fiction. And if you're screwing with the mechanics constantly, the fiction's going to get blurry. The 4th one that I only just recently heard about and found out about is vibes. HP based off of vibes. And here's the thing. I get it. If it works for your table and it tells a great story, good on you. I think for most people, running your HP off of vibes is such a bad idea. I hate saying it because really everybody should play D&D their own way and obviously do what works for your table again, but it really takes a lot of choices that your players have made about their characters and kind of throws them out the window. Like, it makes them way less important if everything's based off of vibes. If a player can just describe their attacks cool enough, the DM going like, oh, that's really cool. Yeah, that should kill the monster. That might encourage more roleplay, but eventually people who are there who are like maybe a little bit too tired or aren't as confident in their ability to tell cool stories, they're going to find themselves lacking behind. They're not going to end up having as much fun. They're there maybe mostly for the mechanics, and maybe they've built a really cool character, but all of a sudden they're like, wait, how come my character built for DPS is not killing things as fast as the bard who's just making a bunch of pretty cool descriptions, but like really not swinging very big? It's gonna hurt trust. I get it if it works for your table, but really you should avoid this. And after I found out about this, that's kind of what sparked my whole wanting to talk about this and to make a video talking about HP. You and your players need to be on the same page. What it looks like, what the art style is, and how you're going to run HP in combat. Because being translucent with your party, everyone being on the same page, it's just going to build up more trust. It's going to help. And if your players know that you're going to be adjusting HP on the fly, and if you've told them up front, hey, great, then they're going to, you know, just trust your judgment. And then them losing faith in you or getting more faith in you is just going to be based off of your abilities as a dungeon master to tell the story and help them, making obstacles more fun, making the game more fun. So talk to your party, be on the same page, figure out what the art style is, subscribe. It'd be great if you did. I want to make more videos like this, and the more numbers I can get, the better it is. I'd like to hit 1,000 subscribers. That'd be amazing. Thank you for watching. Be kind. Have fun.